Hi Arx, Anamana here, and this is XingKazma. How you doing today, man?
Hello, what's going on, guys?
And you're listening to Oracle Fleet Podcast, Episode 9, your weekly podcast for PSO2 news, information, and specifically for the global servers. Today, we're joined by FridayWitch, a PSO2 content creator and streamer from Ship 3. Actually, our first Ship 3, guest? I was going to say patron, but guest. How's everything on that side of the cosmos?
It's, it's alive and it goes. We're a little smaller, but we still punch just as hard, so.
Definitely. We were chatting about this yesterday when we were waiting to get started on a podcast. And it seems like at most it might be like 10 to 20% smaller. It's not as small as it seems, right?
Yeah, I mean, we still have, a few blocks that are mostly full throughout the course of the day. We just, when we looked, it seemed to be like there were a handful of blocks on Ship 1 that were about halfway full, and we don't have as many of those. But honestly, the community is still large. It's probably larger than most people think it is.
Definitely, absolutely. Episode 3, it seemed like it was a little bit smaller, but I think with Episode 4 come out, Ship 4 and Episode 4 come out, things have pretty much stabilized, right?
Yeah, I don't know, when Episode 4 came out and we got Ship 4, that was unnecessary. But it was a thing that happened. It's unfortunate for all people that I don't know. It doesn't seem as populated as Ship 3, which I think Ship 3 is like the lower end of what I think how much population a ship should have.
Yeah, absolutely. But we do appreciate you stopping by on the podcast today. Thank you for coming by. We'll get straight into questions and answers. But first of all, what have you been up to as well, King? What's been...
So I've kind of been on like a little bit of a sabbatical. I have done everything I needed to do in PSO right now, and at this point, I'm just waiting for Klaus and Dark Banisher weapons to drop. So until then, I've been actually getting into Final Fantasy 14, considering they have this whole Gunblade class that I did not know about.
Yeah,
I'm loving it so far.
That's the
Other than that,
yeah, you're having fun.
Really great class. But other than that, I'll hop back on PSO every now and again just to do some dailies, weeklies, and just rack up some more modules for myself.
Yeah. Friday actually mentioned yesterday about that modules was a thing that people have been sleeping on. So I ended up making a video on it as well yesterday, but I think more people need to make videos on just general how important divide quests are, because I think basically like people are sleeping on divide quests right now, right? Other than people that know what they're for.
Yeah, if you want Kraz or Klaus like units, you can't get those without doing divide quests. You just can't. Kraz weapon, you might be able to get away with not doing divide quests by pulling stuff from mission pass and maybe buying a few things off the player shop, but I don't know. That's what divides are for.
Mm-hmm. That stuff's gonna get expensive as well, right?
Oh, I don't doubt it. Those modules, like if you don't care about, no. But seriously, yeah. The prices are gonna skyrocket on that, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I know. Good.
There you go. I was trying to think of what to say next.
I was just gonna say, like, I know on JP they run for at least about 3 mil a piece now, which is pretty decent. But knowing NA, and then granted, you do need. What, for units alone, you would need like 25 of one, 25 of another, 50 of another one, and it swaps based off of which units that you're getting.
Yeah.
And then for the Kraz weapon
doesn't need modules, but it does need like 4 of the crystals.
Yeah, which you should have 4. If you've gotten the mission pass here, and then the mission, and then you have the title, you should have 4.
Yeah, title's what, 3 million in a week?
Yeah, and then you get 2, and then if you do the mission pass, you get another 2. But yeah, those things. But honestly, with NA, I can definitely see them doing a update like the week after, basically giving us modules for at least one weapon.
Yeah, that's what I had to mention, because I think like at this point it's like you kind of have to say either you're an early adopter, you get it now, or you wait and risk maybe not getting one, but potentially they do give one away.
All that means is that the early adopters get 2, and I'm fine with that.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Like as soon as we got the Atlas weapon given away, people were like upset, and it's like, wait, you now have 2 when other people have 1.
Yeah, it's like I'm not mad at all. Like when they gave out the recent Rivalite weapons, along with the Atlas and the Trailblazer, I was like, a friend of mine went up to me. He's like, "Aren't you upset? Like you busted your butt. Like I don't know how many Profound Darknesses you ran to get the ultimate boosters for that." And it's like, well, that just means that instead of me gloating that I have 1 and you have none, now I get to gloat that I have 3 and you have 1.
Yeah.
Right? So, in fact, this is even better because now I don't have to feel bad that you don't have any. I can just gloat and be okay because you have 1.
Yeah, absolutely. That's it. I mean, actually, like, while we're talking about what we'll be doing this week, I've just been getting all my alts to 85 so that I can hopefully jump into Divide Quest with them. I feel like they may be a bit undergeared for it, but I'll see what happens when I get to that bridge. What have you been doing this week in Game Friday?
Oh, so what I've been doing is I have, well, now 5 alts. It was 4, but yesterday I got my 5th one to 85. And I've just been doing the weeklies on each alt. So when I say the weeklies, I mean the weekly Divide points rewards. So like the stuff you get from rewards weekly from divides from like your storage, those are per character, which I know a couple of people have touched base on, but for how fast we're getting this content, that's really important if you want to get Kraz units when they come out, right? So I've been doing that on 4 and soon to be 5 characters every single week, just getting my 1,000,000 points. And I have all of them the same class, so they all can use my main character's gear, so they're all well geared for this.
Yeah, I was going to actually mention, because that was something you mentioned that I feel like is kind of a no-brainer, but if you're just so laser focused on playing different classes on different alts, it might not be something you think about. So that's another thing to consider is why have 5 sets of equipment when you can have 1 across 5 characters that are the same class?
Yeah, I mean, I have like, some decent units and decent weapons for all of my alts, but when it comes divide time, I will have my main character like drop all 6 of their weapons and their units and their rings into default storage so my alts can grab them and use them for divides.
Yeah, you could just set a loadout, couldn't you, as well?
Yeah, well, actually, doesn't loadout only pull from character storage?
Does it? That's what I was wondering.
Because that's what I thought, but maybe I'm wrong.
It's worth testing.
Yeah, absolutely. But regardless, I mean, even just drop it in default storage, so you're just sort by rarity. Surely your stuff's going to be near the top of your default storage. If you just sort it by rarity, it's easy to grab.
Absolutely.
That's true.
All right, so questions and answers. When did you start with the Phantasy Star series?
So I guess there's 2 answers. Answer 1 is I technically started with the very first Phantasy Star game. But I didn't. I kind of got into it a little bit. It was a fun game, but I didn't get back into it really hard until Phantasy Star Online, the first one, when it came out on the Dreamcast.
Yep.
Which that just solidified me as like the biggest PSO fan ever. I know there's a lot of biggest PSO fans ever. Just know that I'm one of you guys.
What was your? Hang on, this is like a hard question to ask. What was the first class you started with, or first technically character in PSO1, and what did you end up settling on?
I started with Hugh New Earl, and I ended with Hugh New Earl. Okay. I liked my female Newman Hunter. She was the queen of soloing absolutely everything, and she didn't need no man to help her through. She could hit things real hard. She could cast Hex. Like, she did all of it. I mean, her HP was a little low, but I mean, you got to touch me first. So
yeah, true. Keep that distance.
I like that idea.
What keeps you playing PSO2 for the time being?
I mean, it's I love the setting. I've also been wanting some kind of a community-driven game that I've not found a good one in a long time, and PSO2, in my opinion, is. It's also free to play, which means if something really happens with my finances and my subscription lapses, that I can still play it. Yep. And I've also found a great alliance to hang out with. Shout out to Chorizo Tacos, Ship 3. You guys are amazing.
As well, while you're talking about community, Something we had huge in PSO1 and even Phantasy Star Universe was the Maximum Attack series, and I guess that's kind of a thing on Japan with the web link stuff.
Oh yeah, I remember Maximum Attack.
Yeah, what do you think? Do you think that'd be a good addition to PSO2?
Oh my gosh, that would be amazing. I would love to see Maximum Attack series type quests in PSO2. That would be so epic.
Yeah, and with all the rewards as well. Like, so for those who don't know what Maximum Attack was, basically picture a website on the PSO website that's like themed for this specific quest, and there'd be a quest, like a limited quest in the quest list, and it'd be everyone working towards cumulative amount of kills. So say at like 1 million kills, everyone got a mag device. I think on PSO1, I don't know if you remember on Blueburst, they had the Yahoo mag, like literally the car spoiler with Yahoo written on it.
Yeah, I remember the Yahoo mag.
It was terrible, but eventually like you work towards some really good rewards, like some, I think was Excalibur might have been like a weapon that you could get, or a mag device or something, but
Excalibur was a sword. It was a short sword, like kind of like a saber, but like rangers could use it.
And it looked like crowbars kind of almost as well, right? Or am I thinking of like there might have been a twin saber version?
I don't remember. That's been a long time.
No, I think the mag looked like crowbars. There was a mag that went with it which boosted it, or I don't know. There was a lot of weird stuff with PSO1 where basically some weapons, some units or armor pieces, and then mags work together. But anyway, like everyone would be working towards kind of like we've had with the Twitter campaigns, but it was in-game instead, as a way to look at it. I think that'd be cool.
I mean, there were some mags that worked with weapons, like Heaven Punisher, and the mag that goes with it could call the giant beams from the sky as a ranger from anywhere, and it was their answer for those stupid lizards that you could armadillos that you can only get from behind, because if you shot them from the front, they turn invisible.
Yeah.
So you use that to shoot them from above, and they would actually die.
Oh, the satellite lizards or whatever they were.
Yeah, those stupid things.
Episode 4, I think. Yeah.
Episode 4 did a dirty to Rangers. I felt bad for them.
Episode 4, I feel like was bittersweet. It just felt like extra content. I didn't really feel like an extension of the story, but it was still kind of cool.
It was all right. I mean, I liked the sub-desert. I was playing not too long ago, and there was actually I was playing on a private server, and there was not too long ago with some friends, and this is the first time they'd seen episode 4. Dude, this is so funny. We walked into a room, and it had like the giant the giant whirlpool of sand that goes in the bottom in the center of the room, and if you go into it, you fall and take a bunch of damage and have to teleport back.
Yep.
And they're like, "What is this?" I'm like, "Oh, you guys, you got to run in here," and I ran like straight for the hole. And I got them all to go in, and they're like, "You're a jerk." I'm like, yeah, I am sometimes, but I couldn't help myself.
Yeah. What about content? Like, what content do you enjoy the most of PSO2?
I've always been a big fan of just a good grind for something awesome. But I only like the grind when I can tell that this will work. Like, RNG cannot screw me out of this in the long run.
Yep.
So, like, the divides are great because, sure, to get the 150 Exequal modules and, like, the 100 of the Mitra and Varuna modules and 40 of the unnamed module we'll be getting in the future, like, that's a lot of modules. But I know that grinding now, like, I can see the numbers going up. It's not like when we were all doing Profound Darkness and trying to get the Ephistia units that they just may never drop for you.
Yeah.
That grind I don't like, but a grind where I can see my progress and there's a solid end and I know I will eventually hit it, I love that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like that's where I'm kind of like, I'm not sure about King as well, but for me, I feel like maybe King's more into just enjoying the game and pushing yourself, but for me, it's like wasting time is like the thing I absolutely don't want to do. So I try to plan everything about trying to maximize the value I get from my time in game, if that makes sense.
Sure.
What about you, King?
Like I can definitely understand the whole maximizing your time thing. But when it comes down to it, like for me, it's mainly just like relaxing and just getting stuff done. Like I like every update I will stream like the time that it starts just to finish everything, and then I'll finish it in like probably 5 hours, and then I'm just like, all right, I'm bored. I'm just gonna go run quests for the rest of the day. And at that point, then yeah, I'm pushing myself to do a little bit better with either class A or class B. But yeah, I just try to find like some enjoyment out of it, because even when trying to do all that stuff with the classes, it can be a little bit taxing. Constantly trying to be, I guess, also constantly trying to play as hard as hell. Like there are days where, I know I'm good with Luster, but I'll still come in and just completely throw every single Divide quest and just feel bad about myself. And it got to a point where I just got tired of that. So now I'm just like, whatever. If I'm having a bad day, I'll just leave the game alone for today. That's fine. But yeah, right now it's just trying to find some enjoyment, because the content does get kind of stale after a bit.
Yeah, that's like with anything, and that's like a good thing that you're playing Final Fantasy 14 is that it allows you to kind of regenerate your PSO2 meter in the background.
Oh yeah, I miss this game too. Trust me.
I think one thing Friday and I have in common in terms of the way we play outside of like farming dailies and stuff is definitely like leveling whenever a level cap had dropped. I think Friday is probably like a little bit more how do I put it, like on top of it than I am. Like I was just like, I'm just gonna farm keys, and if I have enough, I have enough, and if not, whatever. But I feel like I remember when we got, I don't know if it was the 85 cap or the 95 cap, but I remember like within a few hours you were basically level, not like max level at that time on every character. Am I right? Like,
oh yeah. So what I do, so we had the 80 cap, the 90 cap, the 95 cap, and the 100 cap, and like I love enjoying a game and learning how to play it all the way up into the level cap. Like I enjoy that. But like once I've hit the level cap, I hit the 75 level cap on every class, and I'm like, okay, the level cap went up to 80, and I'm like, I don't want to level anymore.
Yeah.
Like I know this game enough that I don't feel like I need to level, because that's kind of like learning the game to me, and I already learned it. So I just powerhoused it. When the cap went to 90, it took me about 4.5 hours, I think, to get all classes to 90. And when it went to 95, it took me about 3 hours. And this most recent one, capped to 100, it took me 2 hours and 20 minutes, because it was on an ultra PSO2 day. And I found out that the donut and the steaks would stack on top of each other.
what was your like, did you use a specific weapon, like an all-class weapon, or did you just find like a really quick way of like I guess removing any of the excess like filler time in between them?
So all class weapons, they work except for on Scion classes, right? And there were a couple of other class specific strats that worked really well for clearing keys quickly. Phantom took me the longest because I don't know how to Phantom at all. It took me like half an hour to get Phantom from 95 to 100, and it was killing me because it ate so much of my donut. I was actually kind of mad about it. But most of what I do is I was just using an all class Knuckles for two reasons. One, because I'm a fighter main, and so I was just super proficient with Knuckles, and I can burn through a key really fast with Knuckles.
Yep.
But number two was my Knuckles had increased EXP 3 and alternate history on it. So yeah, it was a 20% EXP boost Knuckles I was using on most of my classes. Yep. Force Tector and the Scion classes got a different treatment. Okay.
Because I think that's like the thing, when we had the 95 or 95 cap, I was going to use an all-class weapon, but the one I had chosen was like Launcher, and it was too slow, so I just dropped it and went from there.
Real slow.
I feel like level 95 to 100 was a lot easier for me to level this time around. Like, I thought I didn't have enough keys, but I did half of it, then I went to sleep, and then come back and I did the rest of them, and it was actually not as tiring, I guess, this time around as it was last time. I think I just really burned out on farming keys with the 95 cap.
I mean, Ultra PSO2 day plus the final level cap. It's like, okay, this is the last time I'm gonna have to do this for PSO2. I could see that being a combination of why you burnt through it real quick.
Yeah. But now, like, it's like, what do I use keys for? So now I'm getting all my ults to 85 slowly. What about you, King? Have you got all 100 yet?
No. I really thought about it. But then I took a step back and just figured, well, I mean, outside of fighter and gunblade stuff, I'm really not going to be playing much else. So I just decided to focus on that. When the game first came out, I did focus all other classes. So I mean, I know what they do. I know how they can, improve and whatnot, but I just don't see myself really diving too hard into them. Not until, say, Crash comes out. Then I'll probably do a bit more. But for now, I'm just relaxing on 1 or 2 classes.
Yeah, that's absolutely fair. Also, Friday, do you have a favorite moment in time from your time of PSO2 on Global?
Favorite moment on PSO2? I don't... You know what? I'm not entirely... Actually, you know what? Maybe it was the first time I hit damage cap. I'm not talking the 999k one, but the 9,999k damage cap. I was doing a divide quest as one of my alts, like a level. It was like an 8685. It was Fighter Hunter, just 8685 fighting Apos Dorius. Like the big fat floaty dude before Luther.
Yep.
And we knocked down the pillars. We had destroyed all of the AISs, and he was just on his back. And I did the fatal knockout, the build up photon art. Just punched him right in the gut with it, and got 7 9s. Like that was probably my favorite moment because I love big damage numbers.
Yep.
But it was also kind of sad because that means I can't go higher than that.
Was that a recent cap they increased? Or is it something we've always had?
Some quests have, like, they list, if you go to the quest and you look at the quest details, some quests have a cap built into them. And it will tell you that there's a damage cap of like 999k.
Okay.
Like when you're going to select the quest. And divides don't have that. So apparently the soft cap on some quests is 1 mil, but for I think for all other content it's 10 mil, which still makes me a little sad because that was surely more than 10 mil worth of damage.
Yeah, and it seems like with New Genesis there's going to be a squish in numbers as well. So far from the numbers we're seeing.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, PSO1 had... I mean, the PSO2's numbers are so much larger and more ridiculous than the numbers in PSO1. I remember seeing a 4-digit damage number in PSO1 was a big deal.
Mm-hmm. I guess that's it's all I guess relative to what you're used to, right? I remember I used to play World of Warcraft and the numbers were huge at the time, but when they squished it and once you get used to it, it just seems like it's the same basically, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just... Yeah, it's percentage damage. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know what you're trying to say. I'm just trying to explain in words like the concept. But yeah, I mean, it scales proportionately. Like if you squish the numbers down, like sure, I do 10% as much damage, but I receive 10% as much damage, and the numbers are just a little different. But all in all, the gameplay is the same.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll move on to news. We've only got a little bit of news this week. We've got a lot of stuff that hasn't been announced just yet, but we do have the Epic Game Store that's been announced. Probably bringing in a Fortnite. No, I'm just kidding. Not a Fortnite AC scratch. Ada actually made mocked up a fake Fortnite scratch with the Floss emote and a tomato head character pack, and people they believed it. It was pretty funny. But
that'd be pretty cool, actually, though.
I don't know how YouTube feel, but if they add a floss emote or a default dance emote, if someone gets angry about Fortnite being in the game, I'm just going to use that in front of them.
I mean, you gotta think about I guess the way I see it is you gotta think about how big Fortnite has been for the gaming community. Even I don't like Fortnite, but I can't deny, the amount of crossovers that they've done. It's the biggest that any game has ever done. It's bigger than Smash Bros. And Smash Bros for years was running in one of the games that have done the biggest crossovers in video game history. Now they're taking video game and entertainment industry, as far as movies go and music, out the ballpark. Adding something like PSO2 wouldn't be a bad deal. In fact, it might actually be the one thing that causes the player base to increase from being on the Epic Store more than just putting it on the Epic Store.
Especially if they get front page on it as well on the store.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yes.
And free game? How many people are going to be on there because it's a free game?
Yeah.
Exactly.
There's also been a lot of people saying, well, why would they put it on Epic since most people will be using Steam? But I feel like that's it's founded in bias, because I would assume that if there's so many kids playing Fortnite, there'd be so many kids that, for them, Epic Game Store is the equivalent of what we grew up with Steam, right? That has to be a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that.
But I figure, I mean, I believe I commented on your tweet the other day. It was like 95% of the people who have Epic Game Store have Steam, because Epic Game Store came so late in the game. So, I mean, it's nothing but a positive. You're not decreasing your numbers. You're doing nothing but increasing your numbers, which is always going to be good if you're looking at it from a business standpoint. You're just adding more money in your pocket, whether it's chump change or not. It's still money.
And it's not about like. It's like what you were saying, even with the Microsoft Store, if people really wanted to play PSO2, they were waiting for PSO2, they would have played whatever platform they had access to, regardless, and they'd still be playing it to this day on the best platform, which is probably going to be Steam for the time being. Like, no one's saying that's no longer going to be a thing. It's just that Epic Game Store has a potential to bring maybe a small percentage of players, not like a massive flood, but you never know. It could be a thing. We'll have to wait and see, but I think more platforms the better. The elephant in the room, though, is obviously Sony and Nintendo need to come to play and have it on their platforms. I think Sony especially would bring so many people.
Sony just needs to open their heart and it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm surprised that Nintendo's not going to step in. I mean, they took PSO1. Like, I mean, you could just... I know they got a cloud running on the Switch because it's just a big game, but... Come on, Nintendo. You did PSO1. Come on, bring us PSO2. Do it.
That's also like another thing is I was talking to a few people in stream one day, and some people, while there's a lot of cloud games out there, and it probably depends on the infrastructure it's using, the company that's running the servers and all that. Some people think that while if they did release a Switch version, I think realistically, if we get a Pro Switch which has beefy hardware, maybe we'll see that as like an actual installed game on it. But in terms of like a cloud game, while we may have the infrastructure in some locations like San Francisco or some of the Chinese capitals, not every city is going to be able to run that properly. And a lot of people, it feels like maybe the reason why they haven't done it yet is because of the amount of backlash they would get if people can't run it properly.
Oh, you know what? You're not wrong. You know, and I hadn't thought of that. But yeah, I mean, if Joe Schmo in like Texarkana can't get a good enough stable connection to a server close by that can run it, that would be kind of sad for Joe Schmo.
Yep, 100%. That's why I think I hope they release a Switch Pro that can do it. But the other thing as well is that while people keep asking why haven't they put it on PS4 yet, Sony's had 8 years to put it on PS4, right? On the West.
I mean, yeah, but so with that one, it's kind of weird too, because Sony America and Sony Japan operate very differently.
Okay.
Just like how you have like, I mean, you know, Sega Japan, Sega America, and Sega Europe, they operate differently.
Yeah, Sega of America and Japan are basically two completely different companies that just happen to have the same name, right?
Yeah. So it's like, it's weird because you want it to happen, but then like we get so used to lumping them together. I just don't think, as far as like the plans for innovating themselves as a company, that PSO was in that plan. You know, because you gotta think about like the last 8 years, PlayStation has, and I'll be fair with this one, PlayStation has been crushing it with the PlayStation Studios that they now have going, which was something we didn't even really see until this year. We now see like the whole studio thing that's going on with all of their exclusive games and whatnot. Them actually taking a bigger step into the JRPG community. And the thing about PSO is it's a lot smaller than we think. I'll be honest there too. It's a lot smaller than we think. So when you're talking about, and the thing about Xbox was able to kind of give them something, because the difference between the difference between Sony and Xbox is Xbox makes a lot more money than Sony. I mean, you got to think about it. They own Windows, they own Xbox, and that's just small. Like, they can throw a couple of chump change into PSO and just say, here's your resources. We just want the game. Yep. You know, I don't think Sony has the freedom to do that, considering all the other plans that they have as well too. That's just more money out their pocket for something that actually failed in the past. You know, there's going to need to be a good faith deal going on here before I think they'll take PSO2.
If we also look at the data for at the moment for Steam charts for PSO2, we're actually at the lowest peak concurrent in the last 24 hours, which is like 6,000 players just on Steam alone. There's probably a lot more on Xbox, but December we had it, like the most from what I can see was August at 19k, December was 12k, January was 8.4. So I think a lot of people are waiting for New Genesis or maybe burnt out and will come back.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But
Which is sad, 'cause it's a really good game.
The other side of it is that I just want it on as many platforms as possible. If they somehow release it on Stadia, I think that's still a good thing, as laughable as that is.
I mean, you're not wrong. I mean, it is pretty laughable, but I mean, yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, so long as it's not taken away from any existing platforms, then adding more platforms is only a plus. There is no negative to that.
And there's been a lot of what I like to call concern mongering. We see it a lot in gaming. And one of the things is people keep saying that they hope that, or it'd be really bad if they did an exclusivity deal with Epic. It's not going to happen. Why would they do that? Especially when Microsoft funded it. The other thing was censoring. I don't think they're going to censor anything more than what they already have. And then what else was there? You don't have to play it, right? And if there's a Fortnite scratch, you don't have to pay for it or buy that stuff, right?
Exactly.
So I think we'll move on to the big topic, which Friday proposed, which is Scion and Successor classes, or the originals. Don't forget about the original classes. So why do you think there's a perception of Scion or Successor classes being more powerful, Friday?
I mean, so it's kind of twofold, right? So initially, like, you think that, the Scion classes are more powerful because you have to be level 75 in 2 classes simply to unlock them and gain access to them. That already puts them on a pedestal.
Yep.
And then you stack on the fact that right now, if you log on and just click on go to a lobby and click on nearby characters and then look down the list, you're going to see a whole lot of Phantom and Luster icons all the way down the list. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with playing Phantom or Luster. They're great classes. And they're, and Luster's new and shiny and people want to try it out. And I get it. But I feel like where's the love for all the regular classes? Like, I'll admit, I have not seen a single Tector since we got Phantom.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. I was thinking about that, and it was like, I know that we got the Big Bop attack with Tector now, but it just feels like there hasn't been enough love given to Tector over the years. New Genesis definitely is going to make that seem a lot cooler, but I think, just like what you're saying.
I mean, we'll see more Tectors in New Genesis because we have fewer options, and some that aren't as like we won't have any super glorified options whenever New Genesis starts.
Yep. Which is
Scion classes are glorified to crap.
Also, like, Braver is you could even like class Braver in that pool of just because it's got the weeaboo factor, right?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is with Braver is like I'm seeing very few of them because a lot of Bravers went to Phantom because they could just take their katana with them.
Yep, that's fair. And also the other thing was, I would say Hero was like one of the big things that possibly set the air for Scion classes being a lot more powerful, because we had the controversy with that way back, didn't we, King? With episode 5 when it dropped?
Oh my god, yes.
Like, wasn't
you
it
couldn't go into a party without seeing nothing but heroes. Heroes were so busted that they had to actually buff the other classes just to put them on par.
Mm-hmm.
And then they ended up basically making the other classes overpowered.
Yeah.
It's just like, what? Screw it. Do you guys at least take aggro? All right, cool. That's fine. As long as you're taking aggro. But yeah, I mean, nowadays Scion classes aren't as overpowered, which is cool. And the thing is, now we, ever since Hero, we've been able to also use Scion classes as subclasses too, which kind of helps out other classes as well. For those who are using like A12, Phantom, or even Luster as a subclass. Hunter Luster is like the strongest class in the game. As far as just pure damage output, I'm talking 100 to 400k per swing. And that's on normal, just like regular rotation versus anything that you're stacking with, you know, PAs and then your augment. It's hell. So I do understand, but honestly, I feel like the whole idea of Scion classes being like super overpowered, it kind of died after the whole hero balance thing. Because even right now, Luster is not one of the strongest classes. It just has a lot of utility, which makes it very useful. But if with the right rotation, you're still able to keep up with a lot of classes.
Yeah. I would even feel like with Hero not being a subclass, it was like Sega was like, no, this is good enough. We're not going to just touch it because it could just all collapse again.
Oh god, I just hope that one day they actually put headshot damage back up for Rangers and Gunners, because I actually feel for them, and except for Gunner, because Gunner lost his headshot damage, and
Gunner
it should
was
have.
pretty overpowered early on, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, like it should have. Ranger should not have, because with Ranger you actually had to either aim or, you know, you had to do like the third person aim. And that was kind of hard for some people because the reticle for third person aim really isn't that great in PSO.
No.
It's very forgiving and very wide, so it's kind of hard. Sometimes you'll aim at the head and wind up hitting the shoulder just because how big the hitbox is. But yeah, you know, I just kind of wish they brought it back, because that did hinder Ranger a little bit, and that's what makes Phantom so fun, because you don't really have to worry about that headshot damage anymore. That, like I said, that rotation 1, 2, 3, just doing like 400, 500k damage is nasty enough.
Yep. And with like Luster as well, I had a question here, like, will it be flavor of the month? But after playing with it a bit and just face rolling on it as like a complete casual, I was going to make them my ults, but I couldn't put enough damage out in comparison to what I was with Hero on my ults. Do you think that they'll bring it up a little bit, or do you think we'll see another balance across the board, maybe with the 20th anniversary update?
I don't think we'll see another balance. Luster is technically a tough class to get into when you're talking a full damage outputting Luster, and I'm just talking like even in the most casual way of playing. It's pretty hard to get into, because there's a lot of options, meaning with the optimal combos, you have a lot of different ways to take on those combos. Even those who just spam the same combo over and over isn't necessarily doing it right, mainly because with that, say if you were to pop the Gelin and then you have an attack coming your way, when you dodge the attack, you should dodge the attack and go right back into the second half of the combo. Most people would restart the combo. So it's options like that where you end up making more time for yourself, and it just makes it a lot harder. So I think with classes like that, it's just, I love having the difficulty of the class, you know, and still not being able to overpower people or outshine people, but still having all that power in your hand, if that makes any sense.
Yep.
So you're not necessarily overpowered, but you're still able to kind of hold yourself as a Scion class. Whereas though even classes like Phantom don't have as much utility to hold themselves down, or you know, they have like their own Megaverse, but it still requires like PP and whatnot. Whereas the Lesser is just like, okay, I have everything and it doesn't even require PP for me to pop this Megaverse or this Zaneverse, and then I have all these combos, and if I just do them right, I never lose PP, I never lose gauge. I'm just constantly okay, you know?
Yeah.
But if I play casually and I'm just spamming them about, then one of those things I'll lose. I'll probably use up too much PP, or I'll probably use up too much gauge, or maybe I won't pop this Megaverse every now and again because I'll just rely. It's so much. I'm sorry. I think I'm going on a tangent here, but
it's okay.
What I'm saying is, it's just like, I don't think it's overpowered enough. If anything, I think Hero is still gravely overpowered.
What about you, Friday? Where do you think, if they were to balance, what would you think would need to be raised or lowered? Outside of Twin Daggers.
Oh god, you're not wrong there. I do feel like Twin Daggers needs a buff as a fighter main, but that's where most of my knowledge comes from. So I don't have a lot of knowledge elsewhere. I think more what needs to happen is slight buffs to less popular classes to encourage people to play them, but not so much that it unbalances the game.
Yep.
Like a small buff to Rangers, a small buff to Detectors, a small buff to Forces, actually a medium buff to Detectors, a small buff to Forces, some stuff like that, to just hit on the less popular classes to bring them a little more oomph, make people play them more, because as much as I, enjoy having a party, like an unkillable party full of Etoiles, or, phantoms that can do really big bursty damage, or lusters that seem to put out some solid stuff, like, I like the fact that there's 13 classes. Can I play with all of them? That would be great. That's what I would like to see, is more of other classes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think... For me, I think tech to is a hard thing, because we're at the end of the game. They can't really add anything further outside of just a little bit of a buff. But if they had more techs or a better focus ability, I guess it'd be good. I know. Tech is just something I would love to play more, but it just feels like it's kind of disappointing where they left it.
Give them twin daggers.
To be honest, I feel like it's kind of a core game mechanic issue with a lot of the support classes like Tekker. I feel like Summoner should have been more of a support class as well. But then PSO kind of offers too much DPS to some of these classes. And then the best they can do with some of these enemies is pretty much just make them one-shot you, but they're not necessarily any harder. So when it comes down to actually having difficult classes or going in with a strategy, like you would in, again, I would just say something like Final Fantasy or any other RPG with that, where you actually have rules and then they're very heavy on, how they operate. You don't really have that option in PSO2, even when playing stuff like Tekker. So I feel like there needs to be some sort of a balance in how we operate these coming up on New Genesis. But yeah, it's just me ranting again.
That's all good. All right, so while we're on the topic, let's segue into New Genesis. So last week we mentioned that it had been delayed until March. They've also extended the registration period until March. Also, the closed beta website does mention, I don't know if I'm reading it wrong, but there might be a cap of 70,000 players this time around. I don't know if that's 70,000 more on top of what they already had.
It better be.
I hope so.
I mean, if they've got bugs still, they probably don't want to drop 500,000 players on top of it, right?
I mean, sure. I mean, that's the whole idea of a closed beta test, in general.
What I was going to discuss is we're probably going to have a lull period, right? Where we might have extended open beta at some point, which may be fine for reinvigorating players' interest in the game. But in the case of what we don't, what would Friday? What would you suggest for in terms of lull? Maybe inside of the game, other things, and also outside of the game, what internal and external factors would you encourage people to look into?
Oh, between now until New Genesis, after PSO2 finally finishes.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, after we get PSO2, all of our stuff there, I mean, I guess one thing that you can do is, if you think about what are the things that you can bring over to New Genesis from PSO2, why don't you focus on that? Try finishing out, go through story on hardcore mode and get all those star gems so you can grab all the fresh find stuff that keeps rotating through now, so you have those cosmetics when you go to New Genesis. That's something that you can do in the game. You could also obviously watch content or read information about New Genesis to try to figure out how you might want to start when you go to New Genesis. Which class combo do I want to start with when I hit New Genesis? You could do that's going to take up some of your time. Probably already has taken up some of your time. But yeah, I think the big thing is what's going to carry over. And also, one other thing that I think a lot of people are missing here is when PSO2 first came out, episode 1, they had just episode 1, there wasn't a lot of content at all. And New Genesis is going to be that way. We're not going to have a lot of content when it launches. It's not going to be PSO2 sized. So once you do everything on New Genesis, you have PSO2 to fall back on. Don't abandon your PSO2 account, because that may be what you fall back on while you wait for new content in New Genesis.
Yep. 100%. You can work on getting more cosmetics while you're in those lull periods of New Genesis.
Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if they did some events in between. If New Genesis goes on an update but PSO2 doesn't, then they might just toss out a little event for the time while we wait and just let us go PSO2. I would not be surprised.
Yeah.
That's smart.
If we've had the Riverlight and Atlas campaigns, wouldn't be surprised if they had some of those once we do get into New Genesis for base PSO2 for people to get started if they did want to jump back into that.
Oh, sure. Like, still throwing a PSO2 event to get people to also still play the old content. It's still there. They're not hosting it for no reason.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, there's got to be a reason for this. And I mean, although I'm curious, I'm glad it's there. It's like, it was sad when PSO1 died. It's good to know that PSO2 is going to continue even with New Genesis. Like, PSO2 is not going to die, which is fantastic news.
It's what we need in a lot of games is preservation, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is only going to last so long, but I mean, it's longer than I was expecting. So that's a bonus.
What about you, King? Like, I know we've talked about this in the past in the podcast, but what advice would you give to people that are maybe seeking something else to do in the game? Or also, how would you suggest they mitigate burnout as well, I guess?
Well, as far as finding something else to do in the game, I recommend getting to know your people. Like, there are times, and this is why I love, like, the fact that I don't have my name on my character. There are times where I just roam around the ship and I just go into random groups and start talking to people. It's a lot of fun. But because my name isn't there sometimes, like, I don't know if people know me or not, but it's great because I get to see people in like their true colors or like their true state or whatever.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are pretty awesome. I've only really had 1 or 2 incidences outside of, just coming across really cool people in PSO, having fun, talking, and then talking about other games while we're on PSO. And then just like, yeah, you want to go run some quests, you need help, and, just helping out people. There's a lot more new people in between, like the 6K people that are on right now. Between this time we are talking, there's probably been like 500 people who are brand new that just hopped on the game within the last 20 minutes. You never know who's, just roaming around, who needs that help, who just wants to find a friend to play with. And it just being solo. As far as mitigating the burnout of PSO2, I would say, as far as like, don't run a bunch of quests and then drown yourself out. Like, have a plan. If you know that you're looking for something, try digging into that. Like, if you need certain affixes or if you need to make a certain armor, have a plan before you go in, hop on, and just kind of take it step by step, day by day. If you got to hop on for 2 hours, hop on for 2 hours, get your stuff. Get your stuff together and then get off and then come back the next day and do it again. That way you're not just like burning out all your time into it, but you actually have a goal as well outside of like the main content that you're finishing. You have something that you're working toward, because it's going to feel like that sense of accomplishment is going to keep you playing versus just playing quest after quest after quest and you don't know what you're doing or looking for.
Definitely. I think this is what I discovered very quickly with World of Warcraft. So I played Vanilla and Burning Crusade, and I was just the kind of person that would get to like level 40 and then burn out and stop. But once I got into Wrath of the Lich King, I hit 80. Like, I feel like it was probably the first time that had been sped up and made a lot easier. But I hit level 80, and then I was like, well, what do I do now? And it was like, well, I can start working on my gear. I can start farming mounts. And in PSO2, what you can start doing maybe battle or challenge quests and getting some of the cosmetics from those, like weapon camos and stuff. You could go through and get other classes leveled up, try other classes is a huge thing as well. I think people tend to, in general, just settle on one class, be like, that looks cool. And they don't allow themselves to try other classes and allow themselves to potentially like something other than what the aesthetic is maybe that they like. So I would definitely suggest people try other classes as well. And even just up to like level 75 to get the class boost, at least you get a taste of it that way. And you can get that done in like a day as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a fantastic idea.
And that's the class boost as well with PSO 2 at the moment. But what features are we looking forward to testing in the closed beta? I don't know if you had registered for the closed beta Friday just yet.
I have.
Okay, so we all have basically then. Hopefully we can all get in and play together. But what are you looking forward to the most Friday then to trying out?
What I really want to do, what I really want to know is Fighter Force viable? Because I want to do that.
What were the skills that you would use?
Like, basically, I mean, so I play fighter. I love that class. I love that class to death. And I'd like to be able to go up and punch things really freaking hard. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to punch things and get big damage numbers. But being able to also, like, cast like Ilfoe or Ilgrants. Like, I like doing those too. And I don't want to have to choose, and there are currently no subclasses for fighter that are viable for doing that, but the way they made it seem in New Genesis is that mixing classes is like, even like doing oddball mixes is it seems to be more encouraged, because like you get access to both the weapons and both the PAs and text and stuff.
Yep.
And I want to know, is that plausible, because I want to run it. In fact, maybe I'll do that on PSO2. Maybe I'll try Fighter Force just for the lols.
You could make like a King of Fighters character and do multi-weapon, and maybe like put like a flame attack or something. That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know, but I want to do Fighter Force, because I want to play Force, and if something gets close to me, I want to punch it.
Yeah. I think for me, I'm more about like just the general features. Like, I want to have a look at the mag stuff. I want to play around with the multi-weapon camo stuff that they've added. There's just so many different things that feel like kind of things that have probably changed that we just haven't been laser focused on, because they're such minor changes that I really want to just go around and play with. What about you, King?
Multi-weapon system. I'm very interested in seeing how this works and seeing if it is viable toward in-game of PSO. Just like Friday, I'm with the idea of Fighter Force, just having the ability to break those elemental weak spots, find new ones, and then punch it as hard as I can. That's kind of what's on my brain at the moment. But yeah, definitely those multi-weapon systems is something I'm really looking forward to diving into.
Yeah, that's totally fair. And as well, like, what do we think that is something that is probably likely to change that people should be looking towards and maybe sleeping on? Like, what would you say? Like, it's like a weird question, but like, where do you think people aren't really thinking in terms of the changes between PSO2 and New Genesis that may actually be like a huge thing that they'd be into?
I'm not entirely sure. I mean, I've looked a bit at New Genesis, but I haven't looked a whole heck of a lot at it, so I'm not entirely sure how to answer your question.
Yeah, I think stuff like the mag and the region mag system for me are going to be like a huge thing.
Oh yeah, that's a major change with the mag.
Mm-hmm. And then the affixing system just has like a tiny little tweak. Actually, you know what I think, like, on that topic is how much weapons will scale between the star rarity. It seems like that's like a massive thing that's going to be a mage. Like, a 1-star weapon apparently at plus 30 is as powerful as a 3-star weapon apparently. And you can imagine as you get up the higher star rarities, instead of swapping over to like spending 5 million Meseta, which may be hard to come by in New Genesis, to buy a 7-star weapon, you could just maybe use like a 5-star weapon at plus 35 while you're saving that money.
Yeah, it would allow you to bridge gaps a little easier. Yeah, that I mean, more reasonably, rather than every time a new weapon comes out, oh gosh, I gotta shell up for this one, Like, we don't necessarily have to do that.
Yep.
Which would be good.
What about you, King? What do you think? Where do you think people should be looking in terms of changes once it drops?
Honestly, I'm not entirely sure. Remember, I haven't seen much. So
True, I forgot.
I can't honestly say. I mean, if I had to give a prediction, I would say definitely a change in gear.
Yep.
Just because of how heavy the damage numbers have seemed to drop, it looks like they have kind of pushed back on just making us DPS hogs. And it seems as though they're trying more on pushing certain class abilities or just like essential parts of classes more than just unga bunga. So I think gear is going to play into a good part of that, especially with some of the new augments that you guys posted in the Discord. Now that they're not straight percentage based, like 5%, 10%, they're like 0.2, 0.4 and everything. So I feel like there's a lot more that's about to get into this game that we tend to realize. But yeah, gear would be my biggest thing.
Yep. Awesome. I think we've pretty much exhausted all the topics we're going to discuss. I'm just going to do a quick check and see if there was anyone. Someone mentioned if we ran out of questions that
I saw that.
We can talk about the boob market. Apparently, I think one of the things if we're going to be talking about. I mean, there's more to come as well, isn't there? As far as that stuff comes, so maybe keep an eye out.
I mean, that was one of my viewers. It was cooler. He was, that's apparently. I mean, that's a market.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it's not, right? Like,
if anyone does any other questions, we could probably field maybe one or two. But I think we were talking about the module market. Are there any other items that you can see maybe increase in price in the next update?
Oh, absolutely. Enhanced caps. Because when we get Kraz weapons available, you need an Ire weapon, a Dark Banisher Ire weapon to make the Lightweaver Kraz. But if you don't get that Dark Banisher to drop, I'm pretty sure that drops from whatever content we'll be getting at that time.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't drop for you, which I can't imagine it'll drop for a lot of people, you'll need to have Zig make it for you. And when Zig makes it for you, it'll be plus 30 capped. And so you'll either have to have Zig make 6 of them, which is ridiculous, or you'll want to be getting enhanced caps from your rainbow keys or from the player market or from your class X cubes in order to get it to 35, because he can't make the Kraz until it's plus 35.
Yeah, that's what I knew about it, but I completely forgot. And I've been leveling up my characters, and even my partners. She plays very rarely, but I use her rainbow keys to level her up. And the amount of you don't get maybe 1 every 2 or 3 rainbow keys, you'll get an enhancement cap, but it's still a +1 on an endgame weapon, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, dude, rainbow keys are great.
They're so good. We may actually get Ultra PSO2 day in 7 days or so, 7 or 8 days. So we'll have to wait for that announcement, but that's gonna be another time to, I guess, as well, grind out your max level so you get more of those in class X cubes as well.
Yeah, you need class X cubes for those enhanced caps or whatever. Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely.
Someone did ask what other games like PSO2 we would suggest people try. King, you go first. You're playing one at the moment, aren't you? I think we'll go to Friday. I think King might be just
So if you have Game Pass, or if you're willing to spend, what?
Go ahead. My mic was muted. I didn't know.
Oh, that's so good.
How dare you?
You go, Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So if you have Game Pass, or if you're willing to shell out the money, if you're a big fan of Metroidvania style games, like platformers where you explore and get more abilities to explore more of the areas to eventually beat through the game, like Bloodstained Ritual of the Night is a game that I've been not only a huge fan of since the Kickstarter, but they keep releasing new content. After it came out, they released a randomizer, then they released a spin-off. They released 2 spin-offs of the game, and then they released a classic mode inside of the main game. They just don't stop. In fact, just last week they released a special code to make the classic mode play like a 1986 Castlevania game. So Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, if you're looking for a different game to play for a while, that game is top notch.
Yep.
Love it. Highly recommend.
Sorry, King, you were trying to mention as well.
If you are a JRPG nut, because that's me, I have way too many JRPGs. I would recommend Final Fantasy 14, pretty much any Final Fantasy at this point. Final Fantasy 7, Tales of series, or even in some cases Destiny and Borderlands. Those games have been kind of under the table a bit lately, but as far as loot shooters go, or loot shooter RPGs go, they're really great, a lot of fun, and you put a lot of time into those games while you're just kind of waiting for the next bit of content for PSO2. In the meantime, I've also been playing a bit of Persona 5 Strikers myself, which has been a lot of fun.
What I've seen people playing recently was a Breath of the Wild style game. I think it's called Valheim or something like that.
I've seen a lot of that.
Yeah.
That might be interesting to try out. I would suggest probably maybe going back and having a look at Phantasy Star Online 1 and also Phantasy Star Universe, maybe even the portable games. But outside of that, like Destiny I feel like has a lot of similarities to PSO2, but in a shooter style. But outside of that, like I played, because it's on Game Pass at the moment, River City Girls.
That game is fantastic.
That was their Tetris Connected, is now on Xbox. Tetris Effect Connected, is that what it's called?
It's Tetris Effect Connected. It's basically a multiplayer. It's basically Tetris Effect, but they added the multiplayer support. Sorry, I know a lot about that topic because I used to play competitive classic Tetris. But yeah, that's basically what it is. Is they added multiplayer online, and there's like a co-op mode as well as like battle modes and stuff.
Yep.
Still waiting for Big Cheese to play that.
There's also a Sega sale on Steam at the moment. I picked up Sonic Mania and stuff because I didn't have it on PC. So
yes,
have a look
Sonic
at the sales
Mania.
going on. Sonic Mania is good.
Sonic Mania. There's actually this Project Sonic game that's coming out soon called Sonic PO6. These guys are taking Sonic 06 and they completely fixed it, and it is amazing. They fixed Silver, they fixed Shadow, they fixed Sonic. Oh my god, great.
I don't want to slam on their work. I'm sure they did a good job, but had you told me in 06 or 07 that they made that game like fixed, I would have been really hard pressed to believe you.
Oh no, definitely. Like there was actually a bug. You know how when you play as Rouge and Knuckles, and this is a really easy bug to notice, and it's something that's very crucial. You know how they climb walls and stuff? So when you're playing Sonic 06 and you're playing as those characters, you actually cannot get off the wall once you climb it. It is impossible. The only way to get off the wall is to climb all the way to the ceiling and basically mash your X button until your character magically pops off the wall like a little...
Oh, like fantastic. What a great feature.
So they fixed that and added, like, you know, they gave everyone special abilities. Silver now has like Scion blasts and everything. It's like, this is really cool. This is the Silver, you know, Sonic fans wanted to see when they heard about the game, because the comics make Silver look extremely overpowered, but the game definitely shot him down. Like, he was brought down by a kick to the back of his head by Shadow.
Not good.
Which is for everybody.
All right.
But,
oh, sorry.
No, I'm off on the 10th. I'm sorry. I'm very excited. I love talking about Sonic stuff.
Go fast.
It does go fast. I think, yeah, that's about all we have time for today. Where can we find Friday online?
Twitch.tv/FridayWitch. I will probably... I keep having plans to make YouTube content. I have plans now to make content that I was working on yesterday. So hopefully that may actually happen soon. And I'm FridayWitch on YouTube. Don't be discouraged if you find a bunch of Tetris stuff on that channel. I used to be a competitive Tetris player. So, you know.
Awesome. So you can find the podcast on all major platforms and live stream archives on YouTube. Thanks for making time again for us today. You can find myself at Anamana AU in most places. And King, where can they find you?
Twitch.tv/XingKazma, and same with the YouTube, just at XingKazma. And also on the Twitters, where I pretty much talk a lot of crap every day.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we've all got the same usernames on Twitter as well.
We do.
Awesome. So we're going to wrap it up there. Thank you, everyone. I think we're going to raid Mark, who's online at the moment. So stick around, and we'll see you on the next one. We'll probably have Azalira next time, but we'll confirm that closer to the date. But thank you again, and we'll catch you all later. Actually, we missed the actual closing out, didn't we, King? I'm bringing it back. You wanna lead it?
Yeah. So Friday, there's the thing we do at the end of every podcast. He's got to say, until next time, and may your guiding light shine. You ready?
All right, 3, 2, 1. Until next time, and may your guiding light shine.
Yeah.
All right, there we go.